Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my grandmother's recipe for Guyanese style pepper pot. Now this video has been requested for such a long time because it's such a signature Guyanese dish. This is something that we always make during Christmas time, and whenever my grandmother opens that pot of pepper pot, everybody's mouth is watering. Now in today's video, I'm going to be sharing this recipe. This is our take. Now if your family makes it a little bit differently, go ahead and tailor it to your taste, but I'm giving you all of my measurements and all of my ingredients for this video. This recipe is one that originates from the Amerindians, or the ones who actually make the casareep in Guyana. Casareep is basically a dark sauce that is made from cassava or the yucca roots, and that's what gives the pepper pot its dark color and that signature flavor. So I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Get your bread ready. I have 2 recipes for that on my channel already, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, so to start making the pepper pot, we're going to start with our meat. So today I am using goat meat because that's what I want to use. If you want to use beef, feel free to use that. You could also use lamb, and you can also do pork. Some people also do a mixture of different types of meats, but which way you want to do it, feel free to do it that way. So I'm using the goat. I have my goat meat here that I washed, I cleaned, I chopped it, took off as much of the fat as I wanted. You could of course leave as much as you would want on your meat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on a few thyme sprigs on top. What we're going to do right now is just marinate the meat. And then once you add the thyme sprigs on, you're going to go on with a little bit of garlic. We're going to go on with a little bit of ginger. And the ginger gives it a really nice flavor, nice warming touch to the dish. And then we're also going to go on with a little bit of black pepper, not too much. And once you go in with all of these ingredients, you're going to go in with some clean hands, and you're going to go ahead and just massage it all together. And once you massage it, what you want to do is allow the meat to marinate from anywhere to 30 minutes to overnight. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to let this sit for a couple of hours, and then I'm going to come back and start making the actual pepper pot and put it all together. Alright guys, so before we get together the rest of our ingredients to make the pepper pot, I'm going to go ahead and start steaming the meat, so this way we can have that going while we prep the other ingredients. So in a very heavy bottom pot, you ideally want to do this in a casareep or a Dutch oven or some type of pot with a very thick bottom on it. The reason being is because this is going to stew for hours, so you do not want any chance of it burning or catching at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is go in with about just a tablespoon of oil, very small amount for this amount of meat. The only reason I'm adding in a little amount like this is just because I want to help get the meat started in the steaming process. If I were to just add the meat into the dry pot, it stands a chance of sticking. So I added a little bit of oil in, and I'm going to go in with all of my meat. And once you go in with all of that meat, you're just going to stir it around a little bit. And what you're going to allow it to do on a medium to medium high heat is allow it to release all of its juices, steam out all of its juices, and then you're going to allow it to dry back up all of the juices. You want to get it to that stage to where it starts to bunjay almost and starts to get that crackly effect in the bottom when it starts to stick. So I'm going to leave this here. This might take about 15 minutes, but I'll come back and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So this way you guys can see what it looks like during the process. So I'm going to go ahead and allow this to steam. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to cover it a little bit so this way I can help get that juice out of the meat and allow all of the juices to start flowing. So I'll come back and show you guys what that looks like. Alright guys, so this is what my meat looks like after about 10 minutes of boiling away with the cover on. As you guys can see, all of the juices have released from the meat. So what I'm going to do now is leave it on that medium-high heat, and I'm going to leave it uncovered now because I want all of these rank juices, or the rank water as my grandmother would call it, to dry all the way out. I want the meat to start frying back in its own fat almost. So that'll take about another 15 minutes. Alright guys, so I'm sure you can hear my meat steaming away in the background. So while that's steaming, I'm going to go ahead and go over the rest of the ingredients that I'm going to be using in my pepper pot today. Now remember, all of these ingredients are as per my family's taste. This is the way my grandmother has always made her pepper pot, so I'm going to go based off of what she taught me. If your family makes it just a little differently, then you can go ahead and tweak the recipe to your own taste. That's what I always say with all of my recipes. So all of the ingredients that I'm going to be using today are, of course, some casareep. This is the most important ingredient when you're making any type of pepper pot. So I'm using the Bidesi casareep today because that's what I have on hand. And of course, I have my cinnamon sticks. This is going to give it a nice warming and sweet flavor. If you want to get any of these 2 ingredients, you can go ahead and head on over to buyeasy.com, so this way you can purchase them and they can be shipped right to your door. These and a whole bunch of other West Indian products can be purchased and put into your home. So as far as the rest of the seasonings, I have some thyme. My grandmother says the more thyme you add, the better the flavor of the pepper pot. So although I'm adding this amount, I might keep adding some more as the cooking process goes, so this way it can add more to the flavor. I have a few garlic cloves, and we're going to add these in whole, because being that the stew is cooked for such a long time, they'll end up melting away. And of course, this is pepper pot, so I'm going to have to add some form of hot pepper. Of course, if you don't want any hot pepper, feel free not to add it. I'm not going to cut this today. I'm just going to add it in and let it boil with the stew, so this way it can just give off that nice peppery flavor. And of course, I have some orange peel. And of course, when you're getting the orange peel off of the orange, when you're peeling it, you want to make sure to not get too much white. As you guys can see, I've shaved off some of the white. The white ends up making it a little bitter, so I try not to get a whole bunch of it inside. If a little bit is there, it's okay though. And of course, I have salt and pepper to taste. And I'm going to show you guys when to add that in. And I have some brown sugar. What the brown sugar does is just balance out the flavors of the dish, gives it a nice little sweetness. And that, along with the casareep, is what really makes the stew taste the way it's supposed to taste. And of course, since it's dark brown sugar, it's going to add a nice color besides the casareep as well. So once the meat is done steaming, we're going to go ahead and put together all of these ingredients to make our pepper pot. After I took the cover off of my meat, this is what it looks like after about 6 minutes of cooking away. As you guys can see, a lot of that water has dried up from the bottom. It still has a little while more to go, but I just wanted to mention something really quick to you guys. Although I'm steaming meat and all of that rank water or the meat juices are flowing out of it, it does not smell rank or gamey at all in the house. It actually smells really good. The reason being is because I seasoned that meat beforehand. My grandmother always says whatever type of meat that you have, especially a heavy type of meat like goat or beef or lamb, you really want to season it or marinate it just a little bit before you go to cook it, or at least add some seasonings when you're steaming it, so this way you don't get that raw rank smell. So all I smell right now is some nice garlic, that thyme is coming through, and it's just cooking away. I don't smell any bad smell. So that's just my little tip. Make sure you season the meat so this way you can get a nice smell, and of course you get that nice flavor. Everything's infusing as the meat is steaming. Alright guys, so my goat meat has gone ahead and released all of its juices, and as you guys can hear that little crackly sound. That's just showing that all of the juice that was in the goat has evaporated, and then the goat has started to fry back up in its own fat. You can see some golden brown edges all over the goat, and of course you see those beautiful brown bits forming at the bottom. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to start to pick up all of those brown bits by adding in all of our seasonings and adding in some water. So I'm going to go in with my cinnamon sticks. I'm going to go in with some thyme. I'm going to go in with those garlic cloves. I'm going to go in with the orange peel. You're going to go in with the brown sugar. I'm also going to go in with some salt. And this of course is salt to taste, so you can always add more later. And then I'm going in with just a little pinch of black pepper. I already added some while it was marinating, so I don't need too much. And then of course, one of the main ingredients, I'm going to go in with the casareep. The key here is to add in a little bit at a time, because every type of casareep is just a little bit different. So I'm going to add in some, stir it around, and I'm going to see if the meat needs any more. Once you add in all of those seasonings, you're just going to stir everything up and allow the meat to get coated with all of the seasonings. Allow the casareep to get everywhere. And just stir it up really well. And I'm going to allow this to fry for just about 2 minutes, so this way all of those flavors can start to infuse that goat meat. Once everything has fried up and married together for just about 2 minutes, you're going to go in with some water to cover the meat. And once you go in with all of that water, you're going to stir it up. You're going to allow all of those little bits at the bottom of the pot to be picked up by the water. And I think I'm just going to go in with a little more casareep just because I want that color to be a little more deep. So I'm going to go in with that. You can go ahead and put in the water and just try to get the rest of that out. So what I'm going to do now is cover this, and I'm going to allow it to start boiling, so this way all of that meat can get really nice and tender. And about halfway through the process, we're going to go in, we're going to taste it, and we're just going to check it out and see what else it needs. Now before I allow this to boil, I just wanted to mention that the only ingredient that I'm not adding right now is that hot pepper. The reason being is because I just want to add it in just to get that peppery flavor. I don't want actual spice, I don't want too much of that. So I'm going to add it in about halfway through the cooking process to boil with the stew. And I have my heat on a high heat. I want to allow this to come up to a boil. And once it comes up to a rolling boil, then you're going to lower it to a medium-low heat and just allow it to simmer away. Now this might take a couple of hours just because the goat or whatever type of meat you have might be a little tough. So I can see mine taking about 2 to 2.5 hours just because that's the way the goat usually works for me. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys halfway through the cooking process what this looks like, and then we can go from there. Alright guys, so my pepper pot has been boiling, or simmering I should say, for about 30 minutes already. So I went ahead and I gave it a taste. I added a little bit more salt, and I added a little more casareep because I wanted the color to be a little darker. So I'm happy with this color now. I'm just going to allow it to boil. And just to let you guys know, be careful when you're adding the casareep in because as it boils, it starts to get darker. That's why I recommend waiting until later in the cooking process to see if you need more. Now at this point, I'm going to go in with my hot pepper. Remember I said I'm not going to burst it. I just want it to have some of that nice peppery flavor in my pepper pot. So I'm just going to leave it right there on top. Going to cover it back and allow it to keep simmering for another hour, hour and a half until that meat is super tender. Alright guys, so I just turned off the stove on my pepper pot and I wanted to show you guys how nice and soft the meat is. It's basically falling off of the bone. You want to make sure it's nice and tender when you're done cooking it, so this way it's very easy to eat. You guys, I went ahead and I just gave it a taste for salt and everything is perfect. I made sure to take out the pepper. I did not burst it because I did not want all of that pungent heat, but I got a nice little peppery flavor in the dish. The cinnamon flavor is perfect. The thyme is perfect in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dish this out, serve it up, and then I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, here is the completed pepper pot. Mine took about 2.5 hours to cook. Now if you want to use your pressure cooker or your crock pot, it'll take less time. And if you use different types of meats, the cooking time will vary of course. So you just want to have a rule of thumb and make sure your meat is nice and tender and almost falling off the bone by the time your stew is done. Now I'm serving mine of course with warm hot bread. If you want to see how to make the flatbread or tennis rolls, head on over to my channel. I have 2 recipes on there already and I'll have them linked in the description box below for you guys. Now you guys know what to do. If you guys enjoyed this recipe, please go ahead and give it a nice big thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet, and of course click that bell notification icon if you would like to see when I post my newest videos, and keep leaving those amazing comments down below. Let me know if you try out this pepper pot recipe, what you think, and if your family makes pepper pot just a little differently, why don't you share with me how you guys make it. So I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye guys.